Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. It has been a tragic start to the Easter long weekend on our roads, with a motorcyclist killed while trying to overtake a turning vehicle on the West Tamar Highway. The rider in his 60s was thrown from his bike when he collided with the SUV.
The motorcyclist clipped the larger vehicle as it tried to turn into a driveway 4 kilometres north of Exeter. The impact launching the rider from his Harley. Witnesses rushed to help the man in his 60s, including an off-duty doctor and firefighter. Their efforts were in vain, the man dying in transit to the Launceston General Hospital.
It's terribly disappointing and a tragedy for the people involved that this has occurred on our roads at lunchtime today.
With the road closed for hours, police sent a long stream of drivers back into town, while investigators on the scene say excessive speed, alcohol and drugs don't appear to be factors. The section of road is signposted as 100 kilometres per hour. The 37-year-old SUV driver wasn't hurt, but both vehicles needed to be towed. The crash happened just 12 hours into Operation Crossroads, the 5-day police blitz trying to prevent tragedies like this.
I've been out and about on the roads myself this morning. I've been out as far as Scottsdale and Bridport. There's a lot of traffic on the road. It's the start of the school holidays. It's the start of Easter.
Police say the rider was wearing a helmet. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
1 week into Tasmania's election campaign, and the major parties spent the day attempting to get political plans back on track. While the Liberals announced funding for an agricultural precinct, Independent Sue Hickey slammed her former party, accusing it of under-delivering.
The Premier on the campaign trail bright and early in Hobart.
20. Good morning.
Reflecting on the week so far.
Through the course of this week, we've been putting out very positive proposition to Tasmanians. We began the week launching the Tas-TAFE policy.
Before zooming up to Launceston with a very similar message.
Throughout the course of the week, we've announced a range of policies talking about Tas-TAFE.
His focus on day 6, agriculture.
We're announcing that we're going to develop a nation-leading agricultural precinct right here in Launceston.
Independent MP Sue Hickey lashing out at her former party, accusing the Liberals of over-promising and under-delivering.
Where is the Southern Outlet fix? Where is the traffic fix? All of these big promises they're making now, they won't get delivered. We'll get more feasibility studies, we'll get more announcements, we'll get ministers out to have a photo shoot, but nothing else will be done.
As for Labor, the party pledging to protect Hydro Tasmania.
We will legislate within the first 100 days of government to ensure that hydro and other energy assets can't be sold without the approval of both houses of Parliament.
There is as much chance of me flying to the moon as what there is of selling the hydro.
The Liberals once again under fire from the Education Union, disputing claims there's been overwhelming support to turn TAFE into a government-owned business.
And it's based on one submission by a small minority, which the chair of the government's own committee was part of, so it's a flawed report.
Peter Gutwin standing by his policy.
They have made what I think is a very sensible recommendation.
Well, the Greens have launched the first part of a Green New Deal, outlining policies to tackle climate change.
We have to set targets, make them mandated, and support communities to transition to low emissions technology and operations.
Most candidates will now take a short break, pausing campaigning for Good Friday. Next Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, 6 independent legislative councillors are calling on the Premier to move the May 1st state election. The date coincides with separate upper house elections in Windermere and Derwent. Hobart MP Rob Valentine says it will disadvantage independent candidates going up against the major parties.
I'm worried because it's the first time this has happened for 120 years that both houses go to the polls at the same time. Now that's a real concern.
I'll be writing back and thanking them for their correspondence, but politely declining.
Meanwhile, independent Mike Gaffney has been re-elected in Mersey after no other candidates were nominated. Public Health has announced restrictions will remain in place for those travelling to Tasmania from high-risk areas of Queensland and New South Wales. Authorities in the Sunshine State chose not to extend Brisbane's 3-day lockdown, which finished today, as only one case of community transmission was detected. Recent arrivals from the affected areas are still urged to get a test if they show coronavirus symptoms. Tasmanian tourism operators are hoping the half-price flights will see full bookings in the months ahead. Local businesses are ready to greet visitors with open arms, especially heading into the quieter winter months. All 4 of Tasmania's main airports have been included in the federal government package aimed at boosting the recovering sector.
People are definitely keen to travel, and I know I had a quick look at the flights myself this morning, so hopefully lots of other people have done the same.
When you see some of those prices coming through, it's a big incentive for people to get out, and we need it. Our goal has been to extend the summer we've had.
Hobart was added to the list of destinations following industry backlash. More than $500,000 has been clawed back from businesses which allegedly underpaid workers in Hobart. An audit by the Fair Work Ombudsman found 32 outlets across the city shortchanged 372 staff. 24 businesses failed to meet record-keeping rules. Legal action has also commenced against the owners of a cafe for allegedly failing to comply with a notice. With the long weekend upon us, Tasmanians are being warned it might not be just the Easter Bunny visiting homes. RACT is urging people to lock up before hitting the road, ahead of a predicted spike in burglaries.
At this time of year, we typically get up in the vicinity of around $600,000 in claims, which makes up about 200 claims, and that's been our experience over the last few Easters.
The SES is also urging motorists to take regular breaks, with driver reviver stations set up at Parramatta Creek and Franklin River on Monday. Firefighters are also warning this weekend will bring very high fire danger to southern parts of the state. Landowners are being urged to reconsider burn-offs, with high temperatures and strong winds forecast on Saturday.
What we don't want is people to be complacent and think that the fire season's completely over, because we are watching closely with the Bureau of Meteorology and we are expecting a spike day, which is rather unusual.
Saturday definitely is a day of interest, particularly the temperatures. They're going to get into the high teens and even early 30s in the southeast, and also it's going to get very windy.
The fire service says it will have helicopters on standby at the Hobart Airport, ready to react quickly to any blazes. Tasmanians have spent the day racing to prepare their dinner tables ahead of the Easter long weekend. Seafood, chocolate and hot cross buns, all high on customers' shopping lists as the frenzy began.
The team at House of Anvers were hard at work today, with the annual chocolate splurge beginning.
People look for handmade product above mass market product because it's a bit more special.
They aren't your average eggs on sale here either.
And we've got a lot of truffle-filled eggs as well, so that's still our biggest seller by far. And then we also do bunnies and skateboard bunny.
It's the busiest week of the year here. Is it double a normal week? Is it triple a normal week?
Oh, tenfold. Yeah, easy. Yeah.
The finishing touches are being made on many of the chocolatey treats that the Easter Bunny will deliver in the wee hours of Sunday morning. Other producers around the state are just as busy as customers hop along to stock up ahead of the long weekend.
We do a sourdough, naturally leavened, beautiful bun with stone ground flour. All of our fruit's organic.
Bread and Butter had sold out early of their gourmet hot cross buns.
Just in our retail store, I think we've already sold like 250 buns at 10 a.m. this morning. We hand shape and mould every single one, and it's just been hectic.
Hands down yesterday and today, by far our busiest days of the year, apart from Christmas of course.
Seafood will be on tomorrow's menu for many families. Trevella and Pink Ling, the most popular choices at this time of year.
Christmas is a lot busier with crustaceans and oysters, shellfish, whereas Easter's traditionally more about the whitefish. 3.5
tonnes were filleted in preparation. By the end of the day, there was barely any fin left. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmanian News.
Tasmania's gin and whisky makers are accusing the Commonwealth of drinking up their profits. Distillers, alongside independent MP Andrew Wilkie, are calling for spirit taxes to be overhauled.
We are the third dearest taxing country in the world when it comes to spirits distilled from grain.
So the tax at the moment is really crippling. It's really high. In a bottle of spirits, you're looking at anywhere up to $40 just in tax.
The Spirits Association says lowering taxes would allow the industry to hire more staff. Treasurer Josh Frydenberg is considering the proposal. A revolutionary robot is helping a Tasmanian teenage cancer patient return to the classroom from the comfort of his own home. George Medicki was diagnosed with leukaemia more than a year ago, but now can move, learn and interact like everyone else at school virtually.
George Medicki is in a health fight, daunting enough for an adult, let alone a 13-year-old boy.
I honestly thought I was going to die. George has acute lymphoblastic leukemia, which is a treatable leukemia.
The shock diagnosis meant a year of intense chemotherapy, pushing the school down the priority list and making it hard for George to connect with friends.
It was pretty tough because I couldn't hang out with them and I didn't really know what was going on at school and stuff and what they were doing.
That was until a groundbreaking piece of technology changed everything. Described as Skype on a Segway, this robot allows the teenager to remain an active school student from anywhere with a Wi-Fi connection.
He can drive down the hallway, participate in classes, interact with his peers and his teachers.
Teachers from St Patrick's College say his transition back into the classroom has been seamless.
Alrighty, George, what question have you got for me?
He can connect with people, he can talk to people and continue to build those relationships.
The unique opportunity all made possible through Canteen's Trekker program.
When you have a cancer experience, one of the things that you lose is independence and control. So being able to give that back to George is something that we think is really fantastic.
The robot is one of only two in Tasmania. Funnily enough, the other is also here at the school. But demand for this type of technology has never been higher, with 1,000 young people diagnosed with cancer every year.
And at the moment, we don't have enough robots to meet that demand.
The Medicki family knows George's journey ahead is a long one. He will need ongoing treatment until he's 16. Until then, he's finding solace in his rugby idol, Christian Lealifano, who's proven it's possible to recover from leukemia and live a life without limitations.
It's pretty hard to recover from cancer and stuff, and a really great achievement, and it's quite inspiring.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmanian News.
The Tasmanian Zoo has welcomed a rare new resident whose native home is more than 5,500 kilometres away. Chinta, the silvery gibbon, is one of only 2,000 of her kind in the world. The 11-year-old was purchased from New South Wales last year, but only arrived at the weekend due to border issues and flight complications.
She's a lesser ape, she's very clever, very smart, so I'm going to have to think on my toes to keep her active and keep her mind active as well.
The zoo says it hopes to purchase a male in the future and begin mating. COVID might have cancelled it last year, but the Uni Review is now returning with a vengeance. This year's show, titled Tool Story, or satire a certain former US president.
I've based it on Trump's term in office, and I've based it on Toy Story, #1. One of our favourite movies that I watched a lot with my children.
We constantly find ourselves laughing even in rehearsal before, the costumes have even come to life or it's fully complete. So I'm really excited for what the directors have managed to bring together with so much content out there.
13 shows will run in Launceston and Hobart next month. It's the 74th year of the production. A major Tasmanian superannuation funds merger has been finalised. Tasplan and MTAA Super have officially merged under the new banner Spirit Super. Former chair of Tasplan, Naomi Edwards, has been retained as a chair of the new company to be administered here in the state. The fund now totals $23 billion with 326,000 members across Australia.
Tasmania has missed out on a FIFA Women's World Cup clash at the last hurdle. The lack of a purpose-built rectangular stadium is being blamed for Launceston's bid being overlooked. Wishes for a Women's World Cup fixture appeared hopeful, with UTAS Stadium reaching the final round of qualifying. But local fans will need to travel abroad to see the action.
It's certainly a missed opportunity and something we would have loved to have seen.
Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane will host games in Australia, along with Auckland, Wellington, Hamilton and Dunedin across the ditch. Bids from Newcastle and Christchurch were also thrown out. Launceston's mayor says it only highlights the need for a major $200 million upgrade to York Park to incorporate a rectangular stadium.
We really need to get that ground ready so it's fit for purpose for all sorts of sport, and that then when it comes up we can say, yeah, here is the ground, not to say we're going to do it into the future.
Locally, Lacko Seljack Cup action continues with Riverside Olympic hosting Glenorchy Knights this weekend. Riverside is coming off a loss to Olympia in the NPL, but has some key cattle to return.
We're getting some of our key players back from injury now, so we'll surprise a few people.
And Western Australia's complete lockout of anyone who's been to Queensland has prevented Peter Siddle from playing in Tasmania's final Shield clash.
I wasn't anywhere near the hotspots of Brisbane, but with the WA border restrictions, he's unable to travel with us, which is very disappointing.
IPL money man Riley Meredith will also be missing, along with the injured Nathan Ellis and Ben McDermott. It's opened the door to rookie Tim Ward for a crack at first-class cricket.
You just learn so much from guys like Wadey and Payne who've been around it for so long, and you can just tap into their experience and find out how to play the whacker, and even if I don't play, I can just learn a little bit about my own game there.
Tasmania's Sheffield Shield clash is a dead rubber, but the Tigers can still make the one-day cup final.
Good evening. Fingal warmed up to 28 degrees to top the charts today. That is 10 degrees above their April average. Hobart 27, Launceston and Burnie 24, Devonport 21 degrees. Here you see the temperatures as we all went out shopping for seafood today. I got some fish fingers, which had me wondering how many fingers do fish really have. Friendly Beaches and Bushy Park had a high of 27, Smithton 25, Strawn 23, King Island 22 and Flinders 21. Patchy cloud over the east with a frontal band approaching our southwest. We also had low-level cloud moving over the east coast of Australia due to an onshore flow. Thunderstorm activity is over the far north of the nation. A frontal band extends across the Southern Ocean. Tomorrow the front pushes east and decays. The high remains the dominant feature over most of the country. Southerly winds at 10 to 20 knots over the west and east tomorrow, becoming variable over northern waters with light winds inland. Strong wind warning, that's current for waters between South East Cape and Sandy Cape. Good Friday for Hobart, a light early shower clearing, 24 the top, 25 for Huonville, that same forecast, 26 the maximum for Campania. Launceston 24 and partly cloudy, Devonport 21, 20 the high for Georgetown. Burnie, partly cloudy and 21, 22 the top for Strawn. Wynyard, partly cloudy, 21 degrees. 21 also for St Helens, Swansea cloudy and 23, 21 for Port Arthur. UV drops to a moderate 5 tomorrow. On Saturday, fine and sunny for all except the west coast where a shower is expected. Fine again on Sunday, however the wind will pick up and bring a shower to the west coast. And on Monday a shower for Strawn and surrounding districts, fine and partly cloudy for the remainder of the state. Partly cloudy in Perth, warm and sunny in Adelaide, a sunny 29 in Melbourne, partly cloudy in Sydney, 26 there, a possible shower for Brisbane. Still warm, partly cloudy and 24 in Hobart, 20 right now in Launceston, Devonport 19 degrees, and that's the weather for Good Friday Eve.
That's great, Murph. Just don't call me Eve. And that is your news for now. Have a great Good Friday tomorrow. Good night.